Listener discretion is advised. This podcast may include profanity and discussion of sensitive topics. Any opinions expressed are those of the speaker and do not reflect the opinions of any other person or entity. Welcome to episode 21 of The Real Future. I'm photographer John Nyboer, and I started this podcast to share the stories, history, and styles behind the world's largest arts movement. My guest today is Ernesto Galarza, aka Precise. Precise is the artistic director for VersaStyle Legacy and the digital content and marketing director for VersaStyle Dance Company. He's also a member of the Soulbotics crew and one of LA's best-known dancers. I've photographed him going back to 2017, and it was great to sit down and learn about his background. And because he has been part of VersaStyle practically since the beginning, he has great insight into the history and values of this invaluable organization. We finished the podcast with a drum and dance session that you don't want to miss. So let's get into the real future with one of LA's finest, Precise. Precise, thank you for being here. Welcome to the real future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited to have you. You're one of the first dancers I started photographing back at Slim's classes, right? And so
at the battle games,
we've known each other for quite a while.
Yeah. It's been many years now, actually.
That's been a great thing. And I usually start this out pretty simple. What's your first dance memory? And you can take that any way you want, like either literally first or the first thing that like made you think, oh, I really want to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can share a little bit of my background too, just so you get a sense. But like,
if you didn't, I would.
Of course. You to. I mean, I grew. I'm Mexican American. My parents I'm first generation. My parents immigrated from Mexico. And my parents love dancing. Like, it's something that's just embedded in them. They're always the first ones on the dance floor. Growing up when I was a kid and we would go to a party, they were like, let's go. And we were always dancing. And it was just a normal part of my life. Like, it was just dancing. But it was never like nothing like, oh, dance is something. It's just something you did at social gatherings, music. When music was around at home, my mom would just grab me and we would dance. It was just a part of my life. But I didn't start dancing or got introduced into street dance until I was in middle school. I was in 6th grade. And that's when I met Miss Funk, Jackie Lopez, Miss Funk.
You met Jackie in 6th grade?
Yes. I was 11 when I met Miss Funk. Yes. So I was attending, my middle school was Lakeview Charter Academy.
Lakeview Charter?
Lakeview Charter
where
Academy.
Is that?
That's in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it was in the San Fernando Valley. Now it's in Lakeview Terrace area, but it was in the San Fernando Valley. I attended middle school there, and Miss Funk, she had just graduated from UCLA, and this was one of her very first jobs that she got hired there to teach in the after school program at first, and then during school. And I remember I never forget the image of me seeing street dance for the first time, because I didn't want to sign up for the dance class. My mom was like, you should sign up for the dance class. I was like, I don't want to sign up for the dance class. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to draw. So I signed up for the art class. But in the art class, the dance class was happening right outside, and the wall, it wasn't a wall, it was a huge window. So the entire wall was a window. So I remember sitting in the art class and looking outside, and I was like, wow, that looks kind of fun. And it was Jackie, Miss Funk, teaching the first day of the dance class, a hip hop class basically. And then that same day, I told my mom I kind of want to try the dance class. And then so the next day, my mom came with me to after school, and she asked the principal, Ed Vandenberg, who's still in my life today. He's a board member of VersaStyle, and was hey, he wants to do the dance class. Can he switch? He's like, yeah, we just have to talk to Jackie, the teacher. And we met Jackie. That was the first time I met Jackie, and she was like, yeah, of course. I joined, and I literally have not stopped dancing ever since then. Yeah.
Wow. What part of Mexico is your family from?
Jalisco. And then they're from a small town. They're both from the same small town called Tamazula de Gordiano. So it's about 2.5 hours away from Guadalajara. So whenever you go, you fly into Guadalajara and then drive to the small town, the small pueblo.
Do you visit a lot? Or?
Yes, every year.
Every year?
It's like part of what I do every year. My entire family's over there. Literally everyone. I would say about 95% of my blood family is out there. My parents are the ones here, but each of my parents are one of 10, and they're not the oldest, so it's they have kids, and I'm the first generation, so I have I'm uncle to a bunch of a lot of younger, so I make it's a part of every year. I needed to go to just kind of bring some refresh into my life and just reconnect with my family and see everyone. So yeah, I go every year to visit.
Yeah.
Every year.
And you grew up in the Valley, is that?
Yes,
Is that right?
born and raised in Pacoima. Yes,
Okay.
I'm an 818 boy from the beginning. I was born and raised in Pacoima, so yeah.
Yeah. And what I do want to ask you, your parents, like couples dancing, were they dance together when you said that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, couples dancing, grew, like, it was just dancing, and it was like salsa, merengue, cumbias, all like very like classic, like Spanish Mexican dances too. Not just and Mexican dances, but like traditional, just Latin dances.
And South American.
South America, exactly. Yeah. So Duranguense, like all these dance forms that we just grew up, because at parties they would play it all. Salsa, merengue, cumbia, like they would play it everything. So it was just part of, like, we were dancing, they changed the song, we would continue dancing, and we were dancing with my mom, or all four of us, because I have a little sister, so all four of us would dance together, and but it was a part of my life the entire, and still is. My parents are still to this day the first ones on the dance floor.
That's awesome. That's really great. Do you do much couples dancing? Because I know you as a freestyler, a popper, like individual dancer.
Not like where like I went and I've learned. It's just me and my fiance, whenever we go to parties, we go and dance together.
And you can like.
Yeah, and then I've learned a lot, just things, turns, and kind of nothing like formal learning that I've learned, but just stuff that I've done since I was a kid.
Right.
And yeah, so I learned, these are the things I just learned from my parents. Like literally, my parents taught me how to dance to this music.
Yeah. How many siblings do you have?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah. I mean, she's not so little anymore. She's 29, but she's still my little sister. But
I understand.
Yeah, her name
I have a little brother.
Yeah. So her name is Xiomara. But yeah, she's my not so little sister anymore. But yeah, we're just one sibling. It's just us.
Does she come out to events?
Yes. Sometimes she comes out to watch.
So like your crazy big brother.
So I know. But because she used to, when I started dancing, she got into it too. Yeah. So for many years, she danced with Jackie and Breeze for many, many years. So
for real?
Yeah. So she did the intensives with us. She took classes for many, many years. But then, and she started high school, and then she started, doing her own thing, her own journey, and she now has her own life and like working full-time job, and she's great, super great. But but she's still super supportive, and she still likes to dance, but it's not something that's like she does or takes classes or anything. But she's very supportive, and she loves the community too. She loves to come and dance. Like she was just there at Flavor of the Year. That was the last time she went to.
Okay.
She went to go watch. Yeah.
It's always a great event.
Yeah.
What like? You're in an unusual position, because as a street dancer or someone whose dance is based in street styles. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as I know, there aren't many opportunities for career path, right? Mm-hmm. But you managed to become part of Versa Style Dance Company. Not only as a dancer, but you're also artistic director of the Legacy program, right? Mm-hmm. And the digital marketing director. Yeah. I'm not sure what I want to ask you about that, but it just kind of seems like there's something really special going on there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, I come to Versa Style events whenever I can and support in the best way I can, and very much admire what you guys do. Yeah. How did it go from that first class with Miss Funk at school?
Yeah. It was a lot of hip hop at the beginning, but I was started to learn like locking. Like I was learning all street dance styles. Yeah. And then shortly after, maybe a year later or not so long, I met Lee. She introduced me to Breeze Lee, and then Miss Funk was working for a nonprofit organization at the time that was called the Flourish Foundation, and through the Flourish, she was able to provide me with a scholarship to take classes at a dance studio in Sherman Oaks. And it happened to be Breeze Lee's mom's studio, and Breeze was teaching classes there, and so I was able to take some like hip hop and street dance classes, and Breeze was teaching hip hop and popping and locking and house, and I was going once a week on Wednesdays to learn, and then I just continued doing that, but it was nothing I was like super serious about, like it was just something I was doing here and there, but it wasn't until like high school where I because Jackie and Lee started Versa Style Next Generation, which is now currently our like youth program. It's our full-on youth program, but at the time it was just a group of kids that wanted to continue to dance and learn how to dance. And we took a trip to New York and Philly. Jackie and Lee organized a trip to take us, and it was my first time traveling for dance, like traveling. And it's kind of where I went to Step Your Game Up, which is Buddha Stretch's event, and I saw dancers and from around the world, like people from Japan, people from Europe, like everywhere people were there. And I got to like meet and connect with people that I didn't even speak the same language. We were like dancing, and then I saw Miss Funk and Breeze battle, and I saw other amazing dancers battle, and from that trip I came back like, oh, this is what I want to do, because it was also a trip where we also got to participate in an intensive called Illadelph, and it's Rennie Harris's summer dance intensive, and I got to learn from like legends and pioneers in the street dance world, like from all sorts of dances, everything. And that trip specifically, because of the intensive and that event, I was like hooked after that.
So you were in high school at the time?
Yes.
And was this the first, like, was this the start of VersaStyle?
VersaStyle started in 2005.
Okay.
So VersaStyle had already been like, had already been doing their thing.
Yeah.
And they had company members that were like performing and doing different things, different gigs in here and there, and schools, performing for different schools. And then VersaStyle Next Generation didn't start till 2009. But I was already involved in their world, because I was taking classes with them and learning from them.
Right.
So in 2009, I was like that first generation group that they asked.
So you were part of the first next gen group.
Literally the first. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For those who don't know, VersaStyle, and if I get this wrong, correct me, because it took me a while to figure out. So you have VersaStyle Dance Company.
VersaStyle
right?
Street Dance
And that's
Company,
your main touring group and your main
That's the
teaching.
professional touring
and
group,
the people
yes.
who kind of run things.
Yes.
And then you've got the Next Gen, which is your youth program.
It's VersaStyle Legacy after that, which is our secondary group.
Okay.
And they're like a secondary company now. And that just started, this is our third year. So it's fairly new. But it was like students that came from our VersaStyle Next Generation program that just got older.
Okay.
And we didn't have, like, VersaStyle Next Generation was just for younger students.
Right.
But they wanted more, so we started VersaStyle Legacy so that we can provide opportunities. And now they handle all of the LA school shows, performances, gigs that come up. Like, they handle most of those performances. So sometimes they perform, like last year they performed twice as many times that VersaStyle did, because there's so much going on here in LA.
Yeah.
So it's VersaStyle Street Dance Company, VersaStyle Legacy, and then VersaStyle Next Generation.
And what age? What's the age range of the Next Generation?
So Next Generation is from right now, it's I believe from like 16 to like 22, around that age.
Okay.
And then all the dancers in VersaStyle Legacy are about 23 to 25-ish, around that age.
So what's the difference between Legacy and VersaStyle Dance Company?
Well, VersaStyle Dance Company, we just have way more experience. We've been doing this for a much longer time.
Okay.
And so, and we're older too. Like, so I think the youngest member on VersaStyle right now, I believe, is Passion. She's the youngest one, and she's 28.
Okay.
So she's the youngest one. And then on VersaStyle Legacy, the oldest one, I believe, is 24, 25 right now. So it's like the age is kind of separate. But I mean, VersaStyle Legacy is like thriving too. They're great artists. They're learning. They're growing. They're like professionals. They're working. So and you met some of them.
Oh, I met lots of them.
Energy, Siga, Floetic, Ari Love. Yeah,
right.
You've met a lot of
Tactic
them.
part of that.
Tactic, yes. Noise. There's Miles, Liz, Essence. Who am I missing? Marvelous, Whacking. Yeah. There's 13 of them right now.
Yeah. And are they also involved in the administrative aspects of it?
Only some of them.
Like I know Siga is.
So Siga, yes, she writes grants. And then Energy gets also involved. Like, he handles our newsletters, and he leads our incarcerated youth programming. So he teaches with incarcerated youth. And then Floetic is actually works with me. So she's the assistant of digital media marketing. So her and I work as a team to create all the digital media and marketing and online content. Yeah.
Nice. And as artistic director, what are you actually doing in that role?
Yeah,
right?
so I direct VersaStyle Legacy, and basically I handle anything administratively that in regards to them. So whenever they get booked for a gig, I get all the information and make sure they're good to go, communicate with them. I rehearse with them once a week as of now. So they have rehearsals once a week where I train them. And then when we have gigs coming up, I run the gigs, making sure they know the choreography, decide who goes where, and basically direct VersaStyle Legacy. They're their own little company. Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah.
And are you, like, in terms of, are you also the one that connects? Like, you probably have schools that you go to repeatedly, but then there's probably new ones that come in. Are you doing outreach as well?
No, so
No.
I don't do any of that. So
Okay.
that's all Divina Cynthia. So she handles all
Got
of
it.
our schools, all our school programming things, basically. So basically, whenever a school wants us to perform at their school, she gets all the information, handles all the logistics and all that stuff. Then she
Right.
communicates with me, be like, "Hey, Ernie, this is what we need." And then I set it up to make sure Legacy's set and ready to go and communicate and add it to their calendar and make sure they're all good to go.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
So you're basically making possible the performances that drew you in.
Exactly.
As a
Exactly.
kid, right?
Yeah, exactly. Literally.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the first time I saw Versatile. I came to one of your events, right? And it was just and the event started with Next Generation performances, and the room went.
Do you know the year?
The room went bonkers. I think it was 2017. I could look it up because I have this great picture of Siga, and she was, well, this was like 7-8 years ago, right? So
that's probably when I was directing Versatile Next Generation.
she was really young, and I have this picture of her popping out and just going and with that same kind of crazy energy and I remember I was like, oh, she is going to be good.
I kind of basically discovered Siga because I met her at Belmont High School. So when I was in college, right out of college, basically, I was teaching at like different schools around Los Angeles, and Belmont was one of the schools that I was teaching at. And I remember we went to perform at a school show. We went to this school show there with Versatile, because at the time Versatile Dance Company was doing the school shows.
Yeah.
We performed. We organized a workshop. I was the one who went to go teach a hip hop class. And I just remember seeing this like young Filipina girl in the front just like going off. And I'm like, who is this girl? And she just like killed it. And I remember I had them like do the choreography, and then at the end I was like, all right, after that, just freestyle, do whatever you want. And she was in the front like doing this like move. I always make fun of her because I always tell her, this is the Siga move. And she did that move, and I was like, and so I talked to her after, and I was like, you need to come dance with us. So I told her like, come dance with us, connect with us. And she came, started working with Versatile. She did a summer intensives with us, one at UCLA, one with us, and she literally never left after that. And look at her now; she's like grant writer with us, like dancing with Versatile Legacy professionally, teaching. She also works with incarcerated youth.
Where did you mentioned when you got out of college? Where'd you go to college?
UCLA.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I went to UCLA. I majored in go Bruins. Yeah, I majored in world arts and cultures and dance. Back then, when that major actually still existed, because it doesn't exist anymore. But I majored in basically dance. Yeah, and I got a minor in visual and performing arts education. So
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you like this? I'm sorry to ask all these wonky questions about Versatile, just because sometimes it's like good to understand how things work. How do you guys? One of the things that I think, if somebody happens to catch one of your performances, whether they be in a school or out in public or just like they randomly encounter it, the energy's always there. And then over time, like the dancers all experience amazing growth, right? In fact, I gotta say, you're talking about like how long you've been in this, but I gotta say the past couple of years, and I'm not the only one to have noticed this, you hit some kind of critical, you leveled up something. I don't know if you noticed it or if other people have been telling you this, but did something happen over the past year, or is it just time and event and then you hit those plateaus?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's something extra in your dance that was not there like 2 years ago. Yeah,
I mean, I think as I just got older, I just started like becoming a little more aware of like what I'm doing and just being more. I started to really like just I guess push myself and like not being so like critical about what others think or what others feel, right?
Interesting.
So I think, and it's not that I don't like. I'm like I don't care. It's more like it's just it was a mindset for me. So I came into these spaces like I have been doing this for a while, like I have paid many of my dues. Yeah. And so I'm at a place where like I feel like when I come into a space, I'm like, oh no, I know what I'm doing. I've put in a lot of work and a lot of hours and a lot of training for me to like step into the space or step into a battle, step into a performance or a stage for me to like doubt myself. So I just came into the space to a place where like, nah, let's go for it, like go crazy. You know what I mean? Like this is what you do.
Have other people told you this in the past year or so? Like, has this come up?
Yeah, I think I have been getting a lot of love lately for just what I'm doing, and it feels great. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I do
So
know what
it's
you
great.
mean
Yeah,
because I'm telling you too, and I've talked to others about
Yeah.
it, and it's like, oh, for some.
Yeah, something.
So
they're
you
saying.
feel like it's more because you never, at least on the outside, you always project a lot of confidence, right? I mean, would you consider your foundation popping? Or no?
I would say no because I was learning everything. Like when I first started learning how to
Yeah.
dance, like popping was actually the one I disliked the most.
Because when
It
I've
was
seen
so
you battle, it
was
seems
so-
like you're mostly in the popping zone.
Now I would say popping is the style I gravitate to the most. Like it's a style that I like love the most. But I can't say that I dance the way I dance in popping because of like the training I did in popping. It's like the training I did in every other style. Like all the hip hop training, house training, and locking training, like all the other dance forms that I've learned and everything I studied have heavily contributed to the way I dance popping.
Oh, interesting.
Which, because I've always wanted to be different. Like I wanted to be unique. You know what I mean? Understand the foundation and take the foundation in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've put a lot of hours into the understanding and learning the history and how things are done. And I've just applied it to myself, but I've also wanted to see how I can be unique and be a little different. And I think that has come from me having an open mind about learning from other things. So I definitely would say like popping is my favorite dance form that I do, and it's the one that I do the most and the one that I compete in the most, even when I do open styles. But like house is a big part of my life too. Like I love house and hip hop too. And I've trained in locking and West African. Like I've learned a lot of other dance forms that have heavily contributed to the way I move.
Wow. Okay, so this is why the confidence, because what I'm seeing and what I think others are seeing is all these other styles where previous to this, it mostly looked like you were doing. It always had your own signature, but it always looked like popping to me.
Yeah.
And now it's like all this other stuff comes out.
Yeah.
But it still feels cohesive.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And it still is like definitely you. But so it's surprising to me to know that you had been training in all these other styles.
Yeah.
And that it just took this long for it all to kind of come together and turn into
something
to
me.
this.
Yeah.
Right. Because Precise, it always seemed like
Yeah.
was the perfect nickname for you, right?
Yeah.
And now, now when I see you, I don't think that as much in a good way.
Yeah.
Right. Because like the precision is there, but then there's all this other vocabulary that just kind of works its way into it naturally.
Yeah.
This is really great to like get to the bottom of how, because some people just like, if you do something over and over, you're going to get better at it. You're going to hit these plateaus, and some people don't know, right? And well, it just happened, right? But you seem to be have a little bit of like be able to break it down. Not everybody's good at talking about what they do, is what I'm trying to say. Artists.
Yeah. And I think it's taken me a lot of time to understand this and how I did this and how I got here. I think a big part of it has been like my mindset, you know what I mean, behind this. And I think I've learned this from, my teachers and mentors and, the way Breeze and Miss Funk talk to me. It's like, especially, I talk, Breeze is like my big brother. So like him and I have a lot of conversations, and we're always talking about like your mindset. Like your mind has a big part of like the way you dance too. And I think a lot of the times we're so focused on just the movement that we don't think about like our mindset and how we want to approach this or where we want to be at, you know what I mean? I think that has a lot to do with it.
Well, and that's time, right? Because you have to have the movement come second nature to be able to.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Get to a point where I'm not thinking about it. I'm just moving. Yeah.
How's Breeze doing?
Oh, he's great.
I meant.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's great.
So that was not a major.
No, he's fine.
Okay, good.
He's good. He's in rehearsals again, so he's fine.
Okay, good.
He's strong. He's a tank. Like we always say, he is strong. Like, yeah, big inspiration because he just keeps going and keeps pushing, and he's also done a very good job of like maintaining his body very strong because he's constantly like, strengthening it, taking care of it. So he experienced this, but he was able to bounce back pretty easily, and he's great. Yeah,
just for anybody's listening, Breeze Lee had an injury. He had to pull out of Flavor of the Year.
Yeah.
And it was unclear if it was if he really tore something or it was just a tweak. I guess it was just a tweak.
Yeah. It's a minor injury, but he's like. I mean, he's like back basically. He's performing again, but he's still kind of making it happen, and he's getting stronger. He's fine though. He's in rehearsal mode. He's dancing. He's training. He's doing his thing. Yeah.
Is he your main mentor as far as popping goes?
Yeah, Ms. Funk and Breeze have been my main mentors.
Period.
Yeah, like they've been my main mentors. I get inspiration from everybody. I've watched and learned, and I've learned from everyone. But I would say, if in regards to mentorship,
Yeah.
right, versus a teacher,
Yeah.
Miss Funk and Breeze are my mentors. They've been my mentors for forever.
Is there anybody else that you've? Because I know that Versatile affords you the opportunity to meet and learn from so many legends, right? 'Cause I know that the organization is committed to that. But are there any of those people that you really spent more than just workshop time with, and that is there anybody else that you would cite as a major influence?
I don't know, but like I'm not someone that I can think of where I'm like, yo, I spent a lot of time with this person. But
Okay.
yeah, I think in all honesty, like I anytime I get an opportunity to connect and learn from someone, I do. Early on in my dance career, I realized that like learning from watching is also a big thing for me. Like watching the way people move and how people move versus it's like not what they're doing but how they're doing it has been a big like thing for me, and it's constantly something I'm thinking about. Like I love the way they did that, not what they did but the way they did that, and that changed everything because I can apply those things to myself. So that's why I'm saying like watching. But Miss Funk and Breeze have been my mentors forever, and I just
and you see
like
Buddha Stretch at least once a year, if not twice.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Buddha Stretch is a big part. He's family for us.
I just watched for the first time. Is it called Wrecking Shop?
Yes.
T. Custon told me about this.
Yes, the documentary.
And I had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta watch that again.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've obviously seen it.
Yes.
Did you watch it at Versatile as a group or?
No, not as a group. Like as I got older, I started learning about these things, and so I started watching and like.
Do you remember what you thought when you first saw it? If not, that's fine.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just thought about how young they were, and it was just something they were just doing. It was like not something they planned to be this that it is today.
And I'm gonna link out. I will link out to the video
If you
too.
haven't watched it, please watch it. But I just remember watching them like, damn, they were just these young kids just dancing, and they had no idea that what they were doing was going to change the world, And I remember thinking like, wow, that's all it takes sometimes. It's just something that people love to do, something people gravitate to, a sound, to the music, and then they wanted to move to it, and all of a sudden now we're like years and years later, and it's something like that people do around the world. Like
the scale of this thing is crazy. So I noticed what you noticed, and that was more of for me, that was more of the filmmaking aspect, where it was very much just like slice of life. Here's the camera, right? Versus like, have you seen Breaking and Entering?
No.
Oh, you would. So that's a West Coast documentary, but it's more like Ice-T's in it as a dancer.
Oh, okay.
He was actually a good dancer.
Yeah, definitely I need to watch it.
Yeah, and it's longer and it's more traditional documentary, a little more like interviews and stuff. Whereas this was just watching. I was blown away by how good they were.
Yeah,
because a lot of the older stuff, it's not. And I don't mean. I mean, obviously, anybody who's a pioneer is good.
Yeah.
But some things appear dated.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever the art form, and I think street dance, because it's evolved so quickly and only over 50 years, that's often very true. But I was blown away. I was looking at this stuff, and what was that from? Like the late 70s or early 80s? I can't remember the year.
80s, 90s, I think.
Oh, right? Is it that old?
I think so. Yeah.
So it wasn't, but still, like, they're just like, they were doing stuff that if they were to walk into a room or a battle now, it would still kill.
Oh, yes,
still
100%. That's what was amazing too. It's like what they were doing was ahead of its time, and like people to this day don't move that way. Very few people do, I feel, and they were just unique, one of a kind, And I think it's what makes them who they are today. But yeah, I agree. Like what they were doing was amazing.
Have you, your story, it sounds like you started learning from real people, right? Versus, a lot of dancers, for various reasons, whether it be access or geography, it's like the YouTube thing, right?
Yeah, YouTube era for sure.
Right, and then then they have to start learning from real people later. How much have you used video? You have so much access, and like have so much time committed to being around this because it's your job, right?
Yeah.
Do you how much do you learn from video, like just watching YouTube or whatever the source may be?
I mean, I think I would say I still watch footage, online. I'd say it's less than it used to be because I just crave the in-person interaction of like if I'm gonna go, watch. If I want to watch dance, I'd rather watch it in person. I still watch it, but I like when I was younger, like especially like high school into college. I was watching footage all the time, because it was and YouTube was so big, and it was like I would watch battles all the time. Like that's all I was watching. I was watching battles, and we would watch it with my friends. Like we'd come over and like watch this battle. Oh, this event, Just Debut just happened. Let's go watch it. Or I remember like watching everything, like all the big events that were happening and small events. Like I was watching footage, and I was like, okay, what are they doing? How are they doing it? Okay, and I was learning from footage. But not from tutorials, but like watching these people compete.
Right.
I was like studying, like literally studying. I remember watching hours and hours and hours and hours of footage of everyone, which helped me like, and not even just like famous dancers, just other events that were happening around the world that people were just uploading footage because it's still a big thing. But I remember at the time everybody was just uploading everything.
Right. It's a little more selective now.
Yes,
a little
it's
more polished.
Exactly. But at the time they were uploading everything, so I got to see dancers that I would never see in person dance like through YouTube. And to this day, there's dancers I've seen and I know of, but I've never met them because it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a different place in the world, but I know of them because I know they're dope. But like, yeah.
But you had the advantage of having real people translate some of this for you, right? Or at least you were getting in-person instruction and then you could see it. So you kind of had the best of both worlds. When you get in newer members to VersaStyle now, I gotta believe you got people who have learned almost entirely from video, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The thing is, like, VersaStyle itself like doesn't get new members, like because so we don't like. It's funny. A lot of people ask us questions like, "Yo, how do I audition? How do I get in?" So like the oldest member has been with us for like 8 years, 9 years.
I meant new to the company as a whole.
To the company.
Yes. I meant, so in this case, it would be the next gen.
Yeah, it'd be
right?
next generation. Exactly.
So those kids coming in, do you find that they are, or even some of them, I'm going somewhere with this. Like, do you have people coming in who have learned almost entirely from video and the in-person experience is new for them?
No, because not necessarily, because a lot of the kids that come into the programming, they all received training from a VersaStyle or VersaStyle Legacy member. So all the students that come have at least worked with us some way, somehow, or come from some experience from somewhere else. So it's like VersaStyle Next Generation is not necessarily a program for like complete beginners. Like, if you've never danced in your life and you want to learn dancing, it's not necessarily VersaStyle Next Generation. That's what we usually have them like come take classes and work with us for a while so that we can prepare them if they want to join VersaStyle Next Generation. But all those students they're from all around Los Angeles. Some outside of Los Angeles, some people that moved to Los Angeles and they came to school, and so they've worked at they've worked with Jackie and Lee at UCLA, or they're from a high school where like Siga has worked at, or Ari Love, or Energy, or like they all have worked in different schools, and they're like, hey, you should come dance with us because they see something in them and they come and they work with us, or
Okay, I love that. I don't need to go where I was going to go with that because it doesn't apply. But the in-person thing, I mean, I think I've taught you, and I've had lots of conversations over the years. I mean, I probably told you that what motivates me to keep doing this as a photographer is that, I love the art form and I've learned a lot about it over time, but like it's this in-person people from everywhere thing that I feel like is the big message
100%.
that this community offers.
100%.
And so I was wondering if you ever had like, somebody comes in and they're like video child and then they become in-person and it changes them. But you're kind of in-person from the start.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't really apply. I did want to mention that you were talking about mentorship, and I think part of what you're probably talking about in separating your mentors from dance teachers is that if anybody here ever goes to a VersaStyle event, you're going to be like greeted, you're going to be treated like you're going to be, you might meet somebody who's 20 years old who's going to treat you professionally and with respect and like look you in the eye when they talk to you and stuff like that. Is that part of what you teach, or is that something that you only bring in people who are like that? Because I feel like, again, like there's so much, the in-person experience that Versatile in the street dance community offers is so necessary right now, right? And this increased isolation that we're experiencing from phones and then now the feds cracking down and whatnot. And I think the same thing applies to like this kind of just like real life in-person, I don't know, education. Like, show up on time, this kind of thing. Right?
And that is a big part of it. Like, in Versatile Next Generation, we do share with them, like, we use the program to like teach them like, oh, this is what it means to be professional. So it's like we teach them pre-professional skills. So we teach them we treat them like pre-professionals. We're like, you need to email us, you need to communicate with us, you need to let us know in a timely manner if you can attend. You need to, communication is like the biggest rule. Since I was younger, like since I was a kid, Miss Funk and Breeze was like, what's our number one rule? Communication. You have to learn how to communicate with others, whether it's in person or via email. You have to always be professional to make sure you communicate. So that's why a lot of our students like have those skills and have learned those skills. Like on Versatile Legacy, it's like you need to learn how to communicate, and we've taught them, over and like we repeated over the years. Now they're much better at communication. You know what I mean? But yeah. Responding to emails, how to respond to emails, how to greet someone when you see them, how do we greet each other when we're in the space, how to connect with each other. Yeah. I think, and it's sometimes we need reminders and we get into spaces where we're like, oh yeah, you're right, we need to do that. Everybody does, right. You know what I mean? But yes, we do like to like guide these
so that is
and
a
share
conscious effort.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a conscious effort because I don't think this is something a lot of like dancers sometimes learn. Like we've definitely had experiences where like, oh, these, it's just, I just want to dance. And I was like, yeah, but if you're getting booked, you need to learn how to communicate with the person that's booking you, timely manner, responding in a timely manner, communicating, how to communicate them. If they ask for something, how do you respond ASAP, get that to them because, on their end, they're doing administrative work, they need to handle it, you know what I mean? They can't just wait on you. So we teach them these skills so that they're ready for the real world, right? Like, because after Versatile Next Generation, once they're at the age of 22, they graduate. And when they graduate, it doesn't mean they go into Versatile Legacy and then Versatile Street. It's not a pipeline program. It's the Versatile Next Generation. It's just a program that provides them, and we teach them skills that they can take with them even on to the next whatever they do. So that's why you get people like Tori, who started whacking LA and is doing amazing work in Los Angeles with the whacking community. Tori was in Versatile Next Generation. And I'm not saying that we did that for her or anything, but I'm sure we helped, support her and gave her some tools that I'm sure she took with her.
I think you bring it out of people, right? Like, because, every time I communicate with somebody from Versatile, they respond in a timely manner, right? Which, I think is a problem with people in general. And I think artists of any kind, whether they be dancers or musicians or painters, have this reputation of not being like that. And I think some of that reputation is earned, but I think some of it's they're just kind of like anybody else. But because they're artists, people see them do it, right? Because you know what I mean? And so I think it's just such a great counter narrative to this kind of, look, man, I'm a middle-aged dude, and I have lots of conversations here and there, or overhear them. This kind of like trashing the younger generation kind of talk, or kids today kind of shit, right? I don't like it. I've never liked it. I mean, Socrates complained about the younger generation, right? This is not new, but whatever the validity of that narrative, like, you come to a Versatile event and that's all like, no, there's none of that. It's all very professional, and everybody's communicating, and everybody's treating their guests right, and like everything's organized and basically runs on time and all this stuff, right? And it's just really nice to see, because I think a lot of this complaining that older people do, again, this has gone on forever, right? Like some of it's just kind of funny, but a lot of it's not funny, and a lot of it's because people don't get out of the house and then they make all these assumptions about people,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And so
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I would encourage anybody to like get out of the house, go to a Versa-Style event, and
Yeah, come out.
and like maybe you won't have such a bad attitude of what you think is the younger generation, right?
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
Like,
I just think every generation's different, and
Yeah.
they learn things and process things differently. Just like
Yeah.
the generation before me learned differently than my generation, and my generation learned differently from the next generation.
Yeah.
I just think everyone has a learning different process, and even that's been a learning process for me as I'm like working with the next generation. Is like the way I learn things from my mentors. It's like not the same way that I would necessarily pass it on
okay,
to them.
this is a tricky question.
Yeah.
But you might have what do you think? Is there something that comes up a lot right now when you're dealing with what you consider to be the younger generation that you're like, oh, this is different?
Yeah.
Is there anything you can think of?
I just think, I guess from my experience, like I just, when I was younger, like it was just more common to just be like, a little more straightforward about this, and this. Like, hey, just fix this and da. And I'd be like, got it, bet. Because in my head, I'm like, yeah, they're just thinking about they want me to be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's times where like I feel like I have to also not watch, but like figure out how to phrase this so that it, when I tell them, it's not like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And it's not a bad thing. Like I've just experienced this over the years, and it's not a bad thing. It's just things are different. They're a different generation. It's not a bad thing. It's just us figuring out how to not adapt, but like how to make things so we can also support them. You know what I mean? And be like, how do we guide them in the right ways versus thinking like, okay, we just got to do it the way we used to do it. And this was something I had to learn because, in conversation with my mentors, because Miss Funk and Breezy are still mentoring me to this day on this. And I've had lots of conversations with them on like, how do I guide the next generation? And it all can't be the same way that the way they did it with me,
Are you broadly in the millennial category?
Yeah. 93.
Right. So like, the reason I'm so fascinated by this, or like the reason I'm going wow, is because that's exactly what like my generation thinks about the millennial generation. Like, oh, they can't take direct language and all this stuff, and it's like, so now you're finding this, and I'm just like, I don't know. A lot of this, I get it because I'm by nature, just speaking for me, I am by nature straightforward. Like I think part of this is just cultural. My dad is first generation American. His family's from the Netherlands, right? The Dutch are still to this day, like throughout Europe, known as very blunt, right?
Yeah.
I definitely inherited this. But it's like, that's no excuse to be a dick, right?
Yeah.
and so it's funny to hear that, like,
exactly.
because I know like a lot of people in my generation express a lot of frustration with this. Oh, I have to like tiptoe around everything to get my point across. It's like, well, do you, or are you just a dick? And and so it's hilarious to hear you say this about, and again, it just speaks to this. Well,
Yeah, and I think it's also there's also a fine balance. You know what I mean? Because I feel like with my students, we've made it with our students, Versatile students, because they're not just my students, but our students, like we've made it very clear that we want them to get better, and our intentions behind everything we provide them, when we share with them, when we tell them, is so that we can help them become better artists, not just dancers, better artists and better people. You know what I mean? We want to guide them and give them and help them be better. You know what I mean? So it's not like whenever we come with something or we tell them something, it's not out of ill intention. We're not trying to like push them down or hold them back. You know what I mean? Like I want them to be better than me. So and we make sure we tell them like we want y'all to be great. So we want to remind them so that they know, okay, he gave me feedback, let me take it and apply it because they're giving me for a reason, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I feel like there are groups or communities where like I think mentorship like is taken advantage of, where like, maybe they are a little too firm and they are a little too intense, where like, okay, what's the fine line? Like how do we build them versus just always just like, no, you know what I mean? I think there is a balance of what we say and how we say it too. And that also comes with just experience and time and like figuring things out, so yeah.
Yeah. Are you how are you feeling about battles these days? You personally?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about battles these days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still battling.
Okay, and you
I-
you intend to keep battling.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
yeah, like I feel like I'm at a point where like I'm still gonna continue battling. I love the like the rush of it. I'm a very competitive person.
Okay.
But I'm also at a place where like these events or the result of these events don't define me, right? Like I'm mentally like, oh, these losing doesn't mean I'm bad. Losing
Right.
just means in that moment, whoever was judging thought that person won, and that's totally fine. But that doesn't mean I'm a bad dancer, and that's just where I'm at in my dance career.
Yeah.
And I love to battle. I love the community aspects. I love to get connect with people and talk to people, and like so. I still plan on to continue battling. I mean, I'm 33. Like I keep hearing that this is your prime. Like Miss Funkin' Breeze is like, you got to take advantage. This is your prime. Like this is when you like really thrive. You know what I mean? So and I kind of sometimes I feel it. You know what I mean when I'm in those spaces and I'm like, so I just want to keep pushing. So battling will continue to be in a part of it, but I do say I'm not in a place where like I feel like it defines me or it affects the way I dance or affects.
Did it used to?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, used to, yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, I think it definitely affected me. Like, oh my god, I didn't get past prelims. Oh my god, I
Okay.
lost that battle. Oh my god, I made it to the finals and I lost. Oh my god, I didn't even get past the top 16. Right? Like those things definitely affected me because I was constantly thinking about like, how can I get better? How can I get better? How can I get better?
Yeah.
And now I'm not like now I'm just like training just to get better versus training for an event because
yeah.
it's just like I just want to keep growing, right? And remind myself that it's not about winning these battles. It's like I just love to dance. Like thinking about
Yeah.
like the feeling and reminding myself like this. You love to do this versus like you don't love to battle. You love to dance, and I think that made a huge
But you
difference.
well, this is what I wanted to get at because you are
Yeah.
one of those people. I go to, as many events as I can, and I can almost always count on precise being called. Like you seem to really love it. Like
Yeah.
that's what I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Because you don't seem like you come in there all like wigged out, but you're always battling. So I
Yeah,
was curious. Some people get tired of it. Some people don't. So it's good to hear that you're going to still be out there. 'Cause I feel like you always
I don't think I'm
add
like
something.
I don't think I'm fried from it yet. Maybe when I'm older, I'll be like, okay, I think I've done
Right.
enough. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll get there one day. I can't say now. I don't know. You know what I mean? I feel like when I get older, I'll just be more selective in what I enter and when I compete. Like, cause like I always say, like I've gone to everything, like every event. If there's an event, I'll go and enter, go and enter. So, but like, yeah, I just love to battle. But I think as I get older, I definitely, I think there's just a whole other generation of dancers that I love to also watch. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's also those spaces that I'm like, yo, this is y'all's space. Go for it, do it. So as I get older, I'm like maybe picking and choosing sometimes, like when, just because I'm also taking care of myself and my body and everything. So but I'm definitely gonna continue battling. It's just a part of. I can't imagine myself not battling right now. You know what I mean?
How do you think? There's always a lot of discussions about the state of the culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where do you think the battle culture is headed in? Well, let's just keep it with like LA for right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you feel compares to when you first started? And do you see any major differences? Do you see it moving in a certain direction? Like, do you feel good about where it's going?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think the battles have definitely fluctuated over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always talk, me and my friends, we talk about like, I remember when we were like in high school and there was like battles every weekend. You know what I mean? There was like summertime, there was battles every weekend and we would just go to everything. And I remember everyone going, like everyone was there. And I just think like, I remember that. And then now I think it's just maybe a little different. I also think it's just maybe like social media, like people want to, get this viral round sometimes and like they're caught up with like getting the viral moment.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
sure.
And we're definitely living in this like rebel dancer style era. You know what I mean? Where like that has also played a big role in like
What do you mean?
what people
What do
see.
you mean
I
by
just feel like Red Bull has just because they came into not came into it. They created this event, and like I think, you know, you get more access to general audiences watching this dance.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like not the like, because Red Bull Dancer style events, it's like their own world, and it's great. And I'm like, go for it, do it. But it's not like a street dance battle all the time. You know what I mean? Because street dance battles has like a DJ that spins not necessarily the same type of music, you know what I mean, all the time. You know, and I think we all have seen that. We all have noticed that if you've been to it, like an actual street dance battle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I think it's definitely just changed and evolved, and like the young generation want to be like, just like, oh, I want to win so I can, you know, get all these followers to get more views. And I think it's changed the perspective of like why they're dancing. And I'm not saying this for everyone. I just definitely think it's affected things, you know what I mean, that I've noticed just from like stepping back and be like, okay, there's a different intention behind why people want to battle sometimes.
Well, do you think part of it's just that more people are doing it? For example, you know, what you're saying obviously is going to bring in people who want to, you know, go viral and who just want the crowd approval. Because for people who don't know, Red Bull Dancer style events, the crowd is the judge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's a huge difference. And that also means what's going to win is very different.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also the case that the people who have been really successful in these Red Bull events often are great dancers and can do both things. So I'm wondering if just this like expanded audience has meant you're bringing more people into the community, and so you're going to get some people who do see it more as a lifestyle rather than an art form.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if it's just that as opposed to so the people who are still in it from a more like ground level, culture level, going to the community battles, are all still there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's not really changing, but you have this new layer.
Yeah, it's just another
you know
layer.
What I mean?
Yeah. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I just think, just things are just different. You know what I mean? I feel like in the energy, like I do think, like you kind of mentioned it right now, where like the access of like, oh, general audience, non-dancers see this and they're like, what is this? Because of the access and the range that Red Bull has, you know what I mean? And the virality of their footage, and because social media is such a big role, plays such a big role in like this too. And then my hope is that like these people see this and they're like, oh, what is this? And they dive deeper and get to see a little bit more. Yeah. And then hopefully they can come to like the other events that are hosted by like the communities, you know, the community of street dance, you know what I mean? Like community events. I'm hoping that's what it does, you know what I mean? And doesn't like paint the wrong picture of what like this is what street dance is and this is how they dance and this is the music they dance to, because it's not 100% that, right? It's
not.
Yeah.
I know one of the big lessons for me, you know, through this process of learning about and becoming part of this community has been, and I kind of recognized this very quickly, was that the best dancers of these street styles are just as, I don't know, there's never really a good word for it, but like their dedication, their artistry, their ability to express themselves through different music is just as great as any dancer, right? It just happened to come out of this place that's tied into pop culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so people, especially in America, can't quite get their heads around it as an art form, right?
Yeah.
But then, who would you say? Do you have any thoughts on this? I talk about this a lot, and you know, I have my own ideas about it. But would you like to see more kind of street style based theatrical performances at places like Disney Hall, or for audiences that are paying, you know, like ballet prices?
Yes.
Or do you think that would be something negative that would be the culture trying to be something it's not? Like, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, Versatile Street Dance Company is not just like a community nonprofit organization. We're also a professional touring dance company.
Yes.
Right? So we're like literally the epitome of that. Like like we literally travel and go to theaters to present full length hour and a half work, and it's street dance theater, right?
Yeah.
And that's literally what we do. And so we take street dance forms and put them on the theater stage and tell stories, share our stories and the stories of the generations that came before us and our pioneers and our legends. And so and like literally we're doing that. So I think like I want to see more of that, you know what I mean? Which is why Versatile Street Dance Company does this. Like just recently we had the show at the Nate Holden that happened a few weeks ago, and we invited guest artists to come from the community,
Yes.
right? We called it Versatile and Friends because we invited some like street dancers
Yes.
to like come and create some work, street dance theater work, and present it there. And it's just such an awesome way to like present street dance on a stage in a very different perspective. Because I think going to a battle and seeing dancers battle in freestyle or a performance at a battle is very different from going to a theater and watching a street dance performance with lights, full sound, like, and stories and different movements and messages that are getting relayed through street dance the same way any other Eurocentric dance forms have over the years. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more street dancers on big theaters and big stages. Like, we deserve that platform too. You know what I mean? Like, we and our art form has just the same amount of value as those other dance forms do. Like, if you're paying $40 to go see a show at the Music Center, for example, right? Like, and it's like this other dance form, like people should also consider that with street dance. You know, I just don't think it's as common. It's more common. There's more definitely street dance theater companies that I've seen around the world that are doing things. But I would love to see more of it for sure.
When Versatile mostly tours in the U.S., right? But I know you go out of the country.
Yeah.
Do you find that do you find a different audience vibe? Do you find it's received differently? Like if you go, what are some other countries that you've done a stage performance in? You personally, just a couple. No,
Yeah, I mean, I know we performed in like places like Colombia. I know Versatile's been to Israel, India. I think those are the ones that I can think of right now, that off the top of my head right now.
Do you feel like the people who are coming to these performances, is there a different vibe? Like,
yeah, I mean, I feel like the times. I mean, maybe I can use as an example. Like, we didn't perform, but like I went to Summer Dance Forever, and they have
that's in Amsterdam, right?
In Amsterdam, yeah, and they have Theater Forever, and they present like dancers create work and they present it in a theater stage, and like people come out just to watch it. Like, it's a big part of it too.
But is this
and
Theater Forever? Is that part of Summer Dance Forever?
Yeah.
It's
part
an
of the week.
extension of it.
Yes, it's a part of the week that they have during the summer. So they have,
just for. Can you give like just for the audience? Can you give a elevator summary of what Summer Dance Forever is?
Yeah, so Summer Dance Forever is a whole week of events. So basically, they have like Whacking Forever, Popping for street dance events. Yeah, week of street dance events, and they're all battles for the week. But they also have workshops, and they have Theater Forever, which is like the performance performance portion of the event.
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to make sure.
Right, and so I just remember going and being like, damn, like people come out to watch these and appreciate these, and the fact that it's like a part of it, and which is why in Versatile, our Versatile Street Dance annual Street Dance Festival, which we have every year, a big part of it is like the theater portion.
Yes,
it's like, and it's always the last day, because for us it's one of the most important parts to like celebrate dance, to come watch each other dance versus end with this like competitive side, which is fun. Like, don't get me wrong, like the battles are always fun, but like to end with performances and community where families and people just come just to watch and support and show love to like just dance and theater dance, and people can get on stage to like, you know, like share a story or share something that they want to say through their dance movement using street dance. You know what I mean? I think it's like, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really great. So in the example of your festival, that is people tangentially related or directly related to the street dance community. but I'm wondering if you perform in some places, whether in the U.S. or not, where you get audiences that are just like, a lot of theaters will have, a summer program and people just come and see whatever's there.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get that caught? Because then you're getting then you're catching people by surprise. Then you're like opening people's eyes. That,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So where do you see that happening?
It
and
happens
how does that play
all
out?
the time. Like when we travel, like we try to like market it so that people can come and watch, because a lot of times people have this like they think of hip hop and street dance, and they have this certain like perspective of what it is based on like the way social media
It's based on pop culture.
Exactly.
And
what the way it's been like portrayed or thrown out in their faces, you know what I mean? And then they come to our show, and by the end of the show, we've had people come up to us like, I didn't know this was hip hop, or I didn't know this was street dance. Like I didn't know this is what it was. And so when we travel, like we do our absolute best. Like it's our job, as like these dancers, as street dancers, to like, share the true narrative of what street dance is to people that did not know that. You know what I mean? Like, and we've gone to places like I remember we went to Alaska. We did a 3-week tour in Alaska, and I think it was 2019. And I mean, we were in Alaska. Like, there's not very many. The only dancer that I know from Alaska is Ives. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and which is, it's funny. That's where we met him. But like, the community is not that very big. The street dance community. So in all the cities we went to, there's no street dance there. It's just cities that theaters booked us to come and perform, and I remember like people were in shock. Like, oh, this is what street dance is. This is what hip hop is, and we're like, yeah, this is it. And they walked away with a whole different idea.
That's a perfect, because like a place like these small places, like people are going to the theater just because it's there, right?
Yes, exactly.
They just want something to do, and they're just gonna go,
and they walk away like, oh, yeah. And then they walk away, and they at least, I'm not saying they're like, oh, street dance, but at least they walk away with a different perspective of what street dance is.
Yeah,
and that's what part of the work that we want to do when we come. You know what I mean? We left these people, with these different perspectives. And thank you for
talking. This is exactly what I was hoping you'd have some perspective on this.
It happens all the time.
I feel like this is where it needs to head, not because it should be trying to imitate Eurocentric styles or anything like that. Because not everybody is cut out to like go stand for 5 hours at a dance battle and like
exactly.
And like, can
it's
you even
so
see?
Different. It's so different. I know you're a photographer and video. Do you do a little bit of video?
I'm doing. I'm starting to do more and more video. Yes.
Because I'm a photographer and I'm videographer. More videographer, I would say. But I'm also like a lot of that behind the lens kind of thing. Like when you're out, because I feel like you a lot of times, because you're behind the camera, you get this like outside perspective of it. Like,
absolutely. And I came from not knowing anything about
exactly.
it too. Yes.
Like I feel like you're an example of someone that came from outside and was like, oh, this is what they're doing, this is what it is. Like, what was your experience with that? Like coming into this and being like, what did you expect, and then what changed?
I didn't expect anything, and that really is honest, because I met Slim by accident, and just because he was in the parking lot.
Oh,
you don't know this? I'll send you a link. I did. Beast Boy asked about this, and I gave him the full explanation. I actually cut it into a short episode. So I'll send you a link to that. You get the full story. But short story is, I met Slim in a parking lot teaching
when it was the lot. Still?
Yeah, and before it went to Creatington.
Yes,
and I was just like, I love what you're doing. I want to photograph it. And for some reason, he said yes. Like I had no idea who it was.
Slim's the nicest guy. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, nicest guy, and really like.
Yeah.
It took me several months to figure out, like his reputation and stature and all that. I knew immediately that he was kind of better than everyone else. Like, I could tell that.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know everybody else knew that, right? So I was just like, when he said okay, I committed myself to it. I didn't, I didn't know really much about street dance culture, but I know plenty about art and I know plenty about American history, and I did not want to come in and be perceived as someone who was there just to like take. right? I was super interested in it. I wanted to share what I was seeing, but I also was there like I knew I was there to learn, right?
Yeah.
So that's really all I expected. And, I just wanted to let people know why I was there and not like, which is how hi, I'm John, right?
Yeah.
Like, just show my face and let people know why I was there and share the photos.
Yeah.
And then kind of just roll with it.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't really have any expectations.
So it was all by accident.
It was all by accident, but I wonder if there's a better way to like answer what you're trying to get at. Or
Maybe I can ask, like, what was your first event that you experienced? So you're like, what is this? Like the first battle maybe that you attended to.
The first battle was probably a Battle Games.
Yeah, Battle Games was a big part of the LA community for a while. There was like
that was
8 of them or 9. There was so many of them.
That was great.
And they were so consistent, so it was super cool for the community to get together.
Yeah, I don't think, it wasn't so much about expectations. It was, because that's what you asked, right? Like, what did you expect? And it was just more that I was so impressed by the willingness of everybody to get involved in this and work together. And then the talent was like, oh, okay, yeah. To me, the most important thing is the community. And certainly you can be part of that community and have no ambitions of being a professional dancer or even winning a battle or maybe even not even entering a battle, right?
Yeah.
But, the people that are the artists in the community, I was like, oh, this is just as profound as anything. And then I was really struck by the fact that the job, as I see it, the job of the dancer in battles is you were supposed to become this music that you maybe have never heard.
Yeah.
In like 1 minute, right? And that is an extraordinary thing to me, you know, because I know dancers in all forms, you're supposed to express the music but this is a very immediate
thing,
on
the spot,
and because I play drums, I could see, I'm hearing a lot of the same stuff that these dancers are hearing. So even though I might not know, they're doing, that's the Brooklyn right, or like various, moves, I could see,
they're adapting to that
responding
sound,
to this in the music, and the better dancers will change up their pace and won't try to do everything at once and all this kind of like fundamental stuff. And it's just, it's been really, at a time when this culture in our country is, the broadcast level at least, is really fucked up. This is something that's like large numbers of people coming together as humans and dealing with one another, right? And so that's why I called it the real future, because it's real. It's not like some imaginary kumbaya thing. No, it's actually real people. And, we can imagine there's a future police state where everybody who doesn't look European gets kicked out. We can imagine that's the future. Or we can imagine the future is people going and meeting people
connecting,
who may be like them, who may not. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. And,
I think, that's like why I fell in love with this like dance thing, right? It was a dancing for sure, but it was like the community aspect. Like I think that was what impacted me more, because I remember like when I was younger, I was such a shy young kid. I was like I was shy, and for me to be able to like meet people through movement was such a cool different thing. And I didn't have to speak, because speaking was like I didn't like speaking in front of others or being this, I'm not the person I am today. So I fell in love with the community aspect, because I got to meet people from all around the world and be able to talk to them and communicate them and learn from them, even when we can't speak the same language sometimes, right?
And then you see it grow too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I started meeting. One event led me to I did this, and then I met other dancers. Then I met other, and then you start learning and connecting with other people. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I like if I wanted to go back really to the beginning, it's like it was the community aspect of street dance culture that really like attracted me to this and wanted to do this and wanted to be a part of, right? So like I know the power of impact of what hip hop and street dance can do for people, and which is why I'm still here doing this, you know what I mean? Like, which is why I still love to share and teach, which is why I believe in like, you know, Versus Sound Street Dance Company and what we're doing for the community and what we're doing for street dance culture. Like, it's why I'm still here. And I think the community aspect is such a big part of it. Like how we connect and how we support and how we uplift each other as best as we can. Even through dance.
And that people, exactly. And people want it, right? So for all this, again, like going back to like what kind of people are thinking about, not just in the US, but a lot of the world, like this kind of, repressive, oppressive kind of vibe. It's really easy to just think that's all that's growing right now. But this has become I don't know if you know the summary, like the sentence about what this podcast is it's the stories and styles behind the world's largest arts movement, right? I don't have the numbers, but I'm pretty damn sure it is, right? And so that's what people really want, right? That's growing. And like, well, we know people that go to Kazakhstan to teach and go to like every, Alaska, like you said, Alaska, not just one city. You went to like multiple cities in Alaska, right? This is going on everywhere, which just tells you that people want this. They really, sure, there might be some assholes out there, but like in general, this is what speaks to people, I think.
There's something special about it.
And there's no central organizing body, right? It's completely organic.
It's
completely organic.
Play some music.
Well, you know what? You've been so generous with your time.
I'm in no rush at all.
If you're not in a rush, I invite every guest to do a drum and dance exchange. You just mentioned play it. Would you be up for it? Please feel free to say no. I do not. But I've got an electronic drum kit, and it's basically a communication exercise. Would you be up for it?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Let's do it. It'll take me like 5 minutes to move stuff out and give you some room. Anything else that you wanted to get across before we...
No, just thank you, John, for having me and inviting me to be a part of this and share my story. And just like I said, like if, I always tell people like, yo, connect with me. Like I'm always down for having conversations and talking and exchanging. Like,
well,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And,
thank you. I'm slowly going to make my way through all the Versus Style. At least I know when I want to book a Versus Style guest, at least I know I'm going to get responses and like, calendar dates versus like,
of course.
maybe.
But check us out on, we're on social media, Versus Style LA. Check out our website if you want to learn more about us and how we can connect. John's at all of our events.
Definitely.
We always have him.
Unfortunately, not like I had to miss that whole weekend. I really wish I could have been there.
He comes to take pictures at our events, and we always love them. So
shout out to George.
And George.
You know what?
I mean, George
Simeon.
George.
Who I
love
mentor
George
with
Simeon.
George. Yeah.
George Simeon is amazing. He's been an amazing person in our lives, and we love him.
Bring him in here.
You should have him talk about what it's like to photograph dance, because he photographs dance all the time.
Well, he was a dancer
when he was younger.
Yes, like I think he did some ballet.
Wow.
And then he was photographing. He did all the. He went to all the punk clubs in New York in the late 70s and early 80s.
That's awesome.
So
I'm sure he has like some
George in here.
He might have some amazing stories.
He does,
and he travels a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he travels.
Yeah.
So George is. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks again. Let me switch things around and we'll get to it.
Of course. Thank you.
appreciate you. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's super dope.